kind of like.
That's right.
So welcome, we'll just get started. We only have the room for an hour, and we wanted to try to get a group of English-speaking or people interested in WordPress that would like to hear about WordPress in English, or English is their native language, and try to see if there's an interest to continue with WordPress meetups. My name is Michael Paragon. I'm a marketer, an SEO consultant, and a web designer. I started using WordPress about 5 years ago in Miami, meetup just like this. And since then I've advocated to all my clients, and I build WordPress websites for clients and do their marketing on the WordPress platform. So we've kept it intentionally simple today just to break the ice and get to know each other a little bit. We're fortunate to have a couple of developers here. We've had a few cancellations of other people that we're hoping to get here, and maybe as we grow, we'll increase membership, and we'll have more opportunities to have developers here to share their knowledge with us. And that's really what WordPress is all about. It's like a community type of a learning base where you can come, and if you don't have the skills you need to work on your own website, there's a community where you can get information and help and support. And our website, which is bcn-wp.com, up here, we offer support and help and training. So if you get stuck, we try to network with other users. So it really is a community-based organization. I'm really pleased we have a couple of guys here who are with us. One is Juan, who's from the WordPress, the original WordPress meetup that started last February, and they're up to I believe it's 350 members or something.
Yeah.
And we're up to 50 members. So if I come on in, I'm Michael.
Yours is just in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So collectively, we have about 400 WordPress users that are coming forward to participate in meetups. So that's great. So we have a collective base to maybe eventually throw our support behind Juan and behind the other WordPress meetup group to actually get a WordCamp here as well. Plugins add functionality to WordPress. So if you don't have a website at all, you can go onto WordPress.org and in about 5 minutes have your own website. That fast. It's really easy to do. What you don't get on a free WordPress install from WordPress.org, I believe, is you can't add plugins to those websites. So that becomes a point where you have to become a premium member of WordPress.com to be able to get a WordPress website that will work with plugins. But plugins are the things that add the real power and the dynamic to WordPress blogs. It gives it all kinds of features. So today we're going to just, we talked about the global WordPress community, and this is a slide I did just to talk a little bit about the crazy WordPress community that you inherit when you become a WordPress user. You automatically inherit all these crazy fanatical fans. And the fan art from all over the place. This is the logo from the Miami group that I first got involved with. And then over here we have the old logo of WordPress Barcelona, which is Juan's group. Here we have WordPress New York City, WordPress Mexico, WordPress Brazil, WordPress Krypton, or what's I forget which planet Superman's from, but they have WordPress on this planet. So today's topic is just going to be really simple. The WordPress Text Editor, probably developers are going to roll their eyes going, why am I here? But it's really, for a beginner, it can make or break your experience knowing how to use this very simple interfaces where you have to type and write and add copy and add photography and at the end of it make it all look good. And not only make it look good, but have a search engine be able to find you on it as well. So all of these things go into making a web page, but if you don't know what all these things mean, I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail about it. There is support available at WordPress.com, and you can find information about the text editor and very specifically what the text editor does. But what's really important to know here is not so much all of these things, which are, it's a WYSIWYG editor is really basically what it is. It's just like Microsoft Word. You look at your Microsoft Word toolbar, and it's really basically the same thing. So you take a few minutes and you play with each of these buttons, and you kind of get the hang of what they do in a fairly short amount of time. What is interesting, though, isn't so much what's there, but what isn't there that really messes people up a lot in terms of laying out a web page and getting a web page built. Everyone's seen this paragraph bar, and on these headings you see heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they cascade down in size, and that's based on the taxonomy priority of this copy. And the heading is bigger on 1 and then 2. But if you look at the back side of this is really the core of HTML and of H1 and of SEO, basically. And H1 is basically a heading tag, and it's the most important tag. So to use this tag as a spacer, or to use this tag to write your copy, is not really correct, because the first thing the search engine does is it looks and it reads this tag. So you really want to make sure that this is your title tag, and the information that you associate with it is the title of your WordPress page. And then, of course, this shows you the HTML, and you can find a place to practice if you get lost with which is very easy to do in a text editor. You can go to w3schools.com, and they have these little online editors where you can see, you can type code and you can see the effect that it has on the right-hand side of the page. So it's really, really helpful for a beginner to have as a reference. Now, this is also something that we're playing around with, because, as I just said a second ago, one of the things that's conspicuously missing here is the font size. This gives us preset font sizes, and the presets are based on your theme and your style sheet of what has been preset for you. And if you get a plain WordPress website, that's a preset. If you get a theme, it's already been programmed for you, the size, and even many times the default font of that theme. But what if you want to change that? What if you look at that and you go, well, I like this heading, but I don't like it to be so big. I don't want it to be as big as the default that the WordPress theme has put in there. So with some simple HTML, you can change the size, you can change the color, and you can change the background without too much difficulty. And so here we have them side by side now. So we've got exploring the WordPress Text Editor, and we've done that in an H1 heading, but we decided to change the font to 42 pixels. And I don't know what the standard one was here. I think it was much less. I think we were looking at something like 30 pixels was the standard default. But with a simple declaration here, just simply adding the font size, and you can copy this, and we can have this information available on our website as a reference. Anybody would care to get this information later. But it gives you full control of how your page looks, of the fonts, and how they are styled. And then the other thing that you'll notice when you drop, and we'll go ahead and just make a page right now to make it really simple. When you want to pull in text from, say you just wrote a blog and it's in Microsoft Word. Well, the problem with these types of WYSIWYG's editors, if you were to just go ahead and copy and paste that Word document into the body here, you would be carrying a lot of settings that come from Microsoft Word that aren't compatible here. So you never get the same effect. It never looks the same. And it's not recommended to do that. So you have these things called the drop text editors, and you just take your text from Microsoft Word or from simple text, whatever you have, you drop it in there, and then what will happen is you get a page, and you have your information now planted, but it's unformatted. You don't have the same formatting you might have had when you just spelled this. So now we have this unformatted text. We want to format it. We want it to look good. It's all in paragraph size right now, the whole thing. And if we were to look at it in the front end of the website, that's how our page would look, which isn't that desirable. So we want to continue to further work on this page and work the design of this page and go back and forth with the HTML on the text side. We'll get to that in a second, because there's always two parts to this editor. There's the visual part, and then there's the text part. The text part is where you want to drop the HTML that you have, and we'll see that as we go. So here we've just used the U, which means unordered list, and it creates these bullet points for us. And if you look at the back side, you can see the HTML code for those bullet points. That's what they look like. Well, in this case, these bullet points aren't really formatted that well for us, so I cleaned those up. I moved the code so it was a lot more clean. We just have a beginning and a closing bracket, which is always what you need with an HTML. And the same with the H1. You always start with a beginning bracket and a closing bracket with HTML. And we'll look at that again in a second. So now we've got the same page. We've added our bullet points, and we're starting to add some design to it. Let's add a photograph. We go to the add image, and then from there we can size the image. We can take it from the full size, we can reduce the size, we can move it right, we can move it left, move it center, and we can add space to it. So this is where we're able to apply some styling to the photograph. Like, it's one thing to have a photograph, and then it's another thing to have all your copy butted up against your photograph, and it doesn't really look so nice. So you really want to have breathing room in your design when you're doing that. So you want to be able to take the time and play with your vertical and horizontal space, make it the way you want it. And then when you drop your photograph in, this is what it looks like on the front end, and this is what it looks like on the text editor side. And you see all of these buttons up here. And again, experiment, play with them, what they do. Some of them are just the clunkiest buttons. I don't know why they even put them in there. But here's our photograph. And that's what it looks like there. And that's what it looks like on the front end. So now we've got our page, we've got a photograph, and we have bullet points. So the next part we want to do with this is to style it a bit more. So now we're going to take the H1 heading, and we're going to say this is the name of our page, and this is the name of our heading. So it's going to be the same. And we want to put this into an H1 heading. So we went ahead and did that. And I made this, I think we made this an H3 heading, an H2 heading. Okay, so now we've got a little bit more style added. We've got color. We've got an HTML declaration. And you always start these things, if you remember back from the support page we just looked at from the W3 schools, we've got H1. And then H1 is just basically just like a bracket like that. And then anything you place after that will be in that size. It'll be bigger, it'll be bolder. So in the way, of course, you close that out is by putting a backslash inside the bracket, and it closes out. And it makes everything within that space the same size. So now we've got, a nice big red sign there. We've got our The page is kind of looking good. We've got it a little bit styled now. And as we move along, it's starting to look good. We've got our page starting to lay out. And we could do more here. We could move this photo. We could maybe increase the space, open the space up. And then we can do that with different types of, with HTML. And this is just gives you the flexibility to go beyond what the WordPress editor is limited by. It only lets you do so much. So by knowing these tricks, you can get around that and start to come up with some nice web designs.